Welcome back, guys. We covered the Americas side of things, so now we're going to our homeland, we're going to Europe, and who else to ask about the situation of top 42 than Gems and Sparkling Iced Tea? How are you doing, guys?
I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just gonna start because it's gonna be super exciting to see five Germans again. I mean, together with the French, we are always the ones on top. But usually Spain is always up there, like second or also first place. This time though, there are only I think three Spanish players in the top cut, and yeah, James, do you want to talk about it? Because there's another nation that has quite a number of people this time in the top cut.
Yes, I know. It looks like we do, but we actually don't. So the UK is up there on the leaderboard currently with 4 people from the UK, but technically it's only 3. One of them is incorrect. He's actually from Slovakia. Crunchy Troll is from Slovakia, so UK only actually has 3, the same as Spain.
Yikes.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, at least you're like on par with Spain, which is second place right now in Europe, just because we just concluded EU Masters. If you guys have forgotten, and Germany also on top in EU Masters, but Spain as a close second. Let's see if Germany can pull it off again in the seasonal, because we also have a German seasonal champion, and Verschlopster got second place 2 times. So let's see if you can pull it off.
We do though have some fantastic UK talent that have made it through. Both Fly and Spikes have made it through, along with Lewis, who is part of the UK community. He's been around for a while, so it's fantastic to see him make a presence for himself known here and get to see him actually play in a tournament.
But before we're going to the actual players that are actually qualified, most of us, I don't know if you IST have been playing in the seasonal this time around, but I did play. I think James played as well. And James, what did you see on your side of things? What decks did you see? Was there any spice?
I didn't really see too much spice. I had a few mirror lineups, which was fun. So for reference, I brought Draven, Scion, Arkshan Severe, and Poppy Ziggs, and I saw a couple of those mirror lineups. Trying to see what else I found. Any spicy? I didn't have many spicy lineups. I think the spiciest one was someone brought a Fizz Nami Bandle Tree Bilgewater list. I think that was the spiciest I saw.
How about you, IST? Did you play or did you just take a break?
No, I was qualified, but I did not play. Was just not that motivated. Also, I am gonna do the German cast, so I couldn't have played Top Cut anyways. So tune into Riot Games DE, no, just make sure. But anyways, I have been just listening to a lot of players who are qualified, who have played the seasonal Swiss, and the lineups weren't really spicy. It was just a lot of basic stuff. So it's just gonna be a lot of Draven Sign. It's gonna be a lot of Silver Akshan and Amizoe.
I think
What score did you get to, Cosmin? Just out of curiosity. What did you?
I got to 6-3. I lost to actually
Okay.
any death in the last round. If I wouldn't have lost in that round, he wouldn't be in the top 42.
Yeah, I ended 6-3. However, I did miss check-in for one of my rounds because I was at the pub playing on my phone. I forgot to hit check-in, so I could have been 7-2, but I missed one round completely and ended up 6-3.
Were you in the 7-2 spot?
No, I was like 150, so it wasn't likely I was going to get in.
Maybe next time.
Okay, but still, that hurts. That hurts.
It doesn't really matter. I didn't think I was going to get through as 7-2 anyway.
Same. I mean, how would it be that in one seasonal we get all the casters in? I mean, IST cannot because he's doing the German broadcast. Traitor! Yeah. So, we talk. I mean, what can we expect into the top cut? Like, what major actors in terms of lineups or decks can we expect? James, maybe you want to tell us a bit about it.
I mean, we haven't seen the meta change for a while, so we're going to be seeing a lot of what we've been seeing in prior tournaments. A lot of the decks that you've been seeing throughout EU Masters will be part of most people's lineups, obviously, because they had more decks there. Whereas these was only 3. You're going to see most of those decks basically show up across different combinations for lineups, I suspect. So you see your Draven Scions, your Zoe Namis, your Severe Arkshans, your Poppy Ziggs, your Bandle Trees. Pretty much all of those decks will be in some form of combination, depending on what players prefer to play and what decks they're trying to potentially target.
Hmm. How
Yeah,
about you,
I'm
Ice-T?
about expecting the same. I mean, I don't expect any surprises here. Yes, the meta has been slowly moving forward a bit, and as always in Runeterra, it's never so stale that we don't get like some new decks that are gonna make a little splash. Like for example, I think one deck that has been making waves now is I think Aurelion Soul Thresh has been making a really small comeback. But I'm not expecting that to dominate the meta, and I'm expecting a lot of people to just bring very basic decks. A lot of the stuff that Jem said, just basically what we've been seeing so far for quite a while because we didn't have a huge balance patch. So it dominated already the world championship, and I'm expecting it to dominate at least in amount of brings this seasonal, and it's going to be Siva Akshan. I'm just going to expect a lot of Siva Akshan, a lot of Draven Sign.
What happened to your baby? What happened to GPTF?
Yeah. Interestingly, I don't think we will see too much of that. I think it will be brought to the tournament, but just the way the meta has moved forward, I don't expect it to be brought that much. Just a couple of good matchups have been gone, and you just can't afford to bring it against a lineup that plays Nami Zoe, and for example, also brings something like Burn, which
Mm.
doesn't work.
All right. Let's move forward to the actual players and let's see. It's actually been very stacked from the second seasonal onwards because in the first seasonal it was this feeling like everyone can get in, everyone can achieve their dreams, but from that point onwards, the serious tournament players that we see in the grassroots tournaments most of the time have been present into the top. So I'm going to ask you a bit. Well, since one of you is German, one of you is from UK. Let's ask you about your players and how do you expect them to perform objectively. It's not gonna be objectively, but let's try.
I mean, they're going to do fantastically because they did fantastically in the open rounds without practicing at all. And now they're going to be practicing. I'm pretty sure all the UK guys that I know did zero prep, queued up their decks on the day, and just got through.
Yeah, I'm.
So, I expect them to do pretty well, considering.
Yeah, I also, for example, Fly expect to do very well. I know that he went in with near zero prep actually.
Yeah, same with spikes. So
Yeah,
literally the
same with
same.
Spikes. So I think the UK guys are pretty set. I mean, I don't know. Germany always does well, and we have so many people in there that as long as the bracket goes in a way that is quite favorably to the German players, I think we're gonna have at least a couple or one or two German players in the top four, at least one in top eight. I don't think there's any way we won't have Fresh Lobster in the top eight again. Fresh Lobster, I'm having high hopes for him just because he said he's retiring from competitive, and since then he made like 3 seasonal top cuts, got second place in the last 2 seasonals. So yeah, just
I
I
mean,
think he's gonna go far.
you have to consider, even though he says he's retired, right? His skills will not have deteriorated that much. He might have lost like 1 or 2% because he's not scrimming, he's not practicing, but his overall win rate against most people is still going to be very high. Like it's not something you just instantly lose. He's still going to understand. He's still going to have all his basics, all his fundamentals there. He just won't be going hardcore and prep and matchup knowledge. So just because he's missing that doesn't necessarily mean he's. I think he's still up there in terms of capability to be one of the best players ever.
Yeah. Outside of that, obviously, I'm looking at Smooth Swallows just to make a splash, and I'm looking at Gamebreaker qualifying as the number 1 seed and qualifying. I think he hasn't qualified for one season, but qualifying for every other season, qualifying again. And I think he finally wants to make a big splash. Finally wants to get that final. And I think someone who's going to be practicing a lot, that is going to be Gamebreaker. And I have high hopes for him this time.
All right, we do have high hopes, but realistically, where would we put him? Would we put him in first place, or what threshold is he going to surpass?
So historically, he hasn't been doing like super insanely well in the seasonal top cuts, but I think this time might be it. He's a really good player. He's a very consistent player, and consistent players have to be rewarded at some point. So I think we can at least place him in the semi-final ballpark.
How about the UK players? Which one is going to go the farthest,
They're,
James?
they're going to be playing each other in the finals. It's going to be Fly versus Spikes in the finals, and Lewis will be in the semi-finals.
Okay. If we're going that route, we already had the German final in the seasonals, and I think this time, actually, if I'm looking at the predicted bracket, it's gonna be actually Game Breaker versus Fresh Lobster in the final. I'm very sorry, Gems.
I mean, it's going to be slightly different brackets because I believe Sin is not going to be playing, so everyone's going to be shifted around by one potentially. So it could be possible that
That's
Fly,
fine.
Lewis, and Spikes make it all the way.
I think it's actually fine. Like Game Breaker and Lobster are almost at the complete other side of the bracket.
Yeah,
But we do have
it's not happening. Don't worry. UK is going to co-op shop. I believe we have a history of this, right?
Okay.
We have a history of not practicing and making Top Cut now. Like that's our thing now.
That's what you guys think. Just the cool boys from the island, you know.
Imagine if we actually thought and practiced. Like that's imagine our capabilities if we actually
You
practiced.
probably wouldn't be in top 42 if you practiced.
Probably not. But there's a lot of us that basically all we do is rock up on the day, and we do, and nearly everyone. I think most of the UK guys, 7-2s or 6-3s, or 8-1s. I think basically across the board, no one's really lower for the most part. So all it needs is like 1 or 2 wins for like most of you guys to ever make it.
I think, James, you said you played in a pub, right?
Yeah.
That's about what I'm expecting, like from the UK players. You know, just with a pint of beer in hand in the pub, sitting there on their phone.
I was literally having a pint at the pub when I won one of my rounds, and I was getting basically I forgot to check in for the next round.
I think we have a clash there. I think we just have someone like Game Breaker or like Lobster sitting there with like a tea at home, just with like math spreadsheets next to them, and then we have like the UK boys with like a pint of beer and some chips, you know, in the bar, playing on their phones.
That would be
It's gonna be an
iconic
interesting top
if
cut.
we get the player cams and if that would happen. But moving forward, Germany and UK, I know it's surprising to know, but it's not. They are not the only nations in Europe.
Yeah, they are.
Screw you,
Yeah,
James.
UK is moving slowly away, you know.
Oh yeah, you're not even in Europe. Screw you, James. Go away. Go on your tidy island or something. Anyways, moving forward, we have other tiny. We do have other nations, other powerhouses throughout this tournament, and one of the two I think that are most consistent as the previous ones are France and Spain. So, do we have any predictions for these two nations or for any player in particular?
I mean,
yeah.
I was going to say Sergey Tuvamos is in there.
Yeah.
At position number 22, he's probably the biggest player to look out for. He's been doing fantastically recently across the board, so be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, I mean, while Spain is missing the S right now after EU Masters, I think it's still one of the strongest regions in Runeterra. And especially looking at the list of players that did make it to the top cut, even though it might be less than last time or the previous times, I think with Sergio Tuamos in there and Cosimo in there, I'm having high hopes for Spain.
Well, we also have Sir Donald, who made, I think, top 4 the last time he played. He's actually one of Lobster student as well, so we could see something happening here. Maybe we are going to get a Master versus Student final, maybe another rematch, and see if Sir Donald learned something from last time.
It's crazy, right? How many players actually consistently make it to seasonal top cuts? Well, a lot of people always say, and I do agree, it's very chaotic to have an open round tournament with over 1,000 people, and you should never expect consistent players to just make it through 9 rounds of Swiss consistently. But Game Breaker, a Lobster, for example, we also again Ragnar, Sergi, we have Sorry again in here. Jinten, who also made it last time. There are a lot of players actually in seasonals that consistently make it to top 32.
But we do have a few surprises or dark horses as well, and one of them that I specifically want to mention, it's Brechet Kata, because he has been performing so well in the past tournaments, in grassroots tournaments, basically taking out everything, and he finally makes it into the top 42. So what's our prediction for him?
I- It's crazy, right? How many players actually consistently make it to seasonal top cuts? Well, a lot of people always say, and I do agree, it's very chaotic to have an open round tournament with over 1,000 people, and you should never expect consistent players to just make it through 9 rounds of Swiss consistently. But Game Breaker, a Lobster, a Lobster, very high hopes.
I mean,
I
we can't. I mean, we're gonna end up saying high hopes to pretty much everyone on here, to be
Yes.
quite frank. So these guys are really strong players, but ultimately, obviously, in the end of the day, only one of them is going to be able to take it, and it is single limb. So they're going to have to hope luck is on their side a little bit, as well as specifically, I would say, on the matchups, and then basically go from there. I think for most of these guys, because we could say every. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised for pretty much anyone from this top 32 making it to the finals or even winning it.
Yeah, same. Kata, especially, I have been able to watch some of his scrims and just know it's a very cerebral player, very good player. So yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised if he would make the final. But again, as Gems just mentioned, wouldn't be surprised if Shogopass makes the final. Wouldn't be surprised if Sorry makes the final. But basically, anyone on this list is just deserves to be in the top 32, and is just a very strong player.
But how about any dark horse in the tournament or someone that people might not expect to win? Yes, I know it's pretty stacked.
I would argue. I'll probably argue Lewis from the UK, to be honest, because outside of the UK community, I don't think anyone knows of him. In that sense, he's not really been around in too many tournaments or anything either. So definitely one to look out for. See how well he does.
How about you, IceT? Any dark horse
I
that you
would,
are hoping for?
you know what? I would actually agree. You know why? Because I have never heard of Lewis. So he would certainly be a dark horse for me or an underdog player. But maybe if Jem says he is a bit more known in the UK community, he's probably also one of the tournament players over there that is playing a lot in the community tournaments that are happening around the UK Nordics area and probably has some success there. So
We have no tournaments in the UK Nordics area yet.
So he has 100%
Ah.
win rate in UK now, right?
Yes. No, he's. I wish we did have tournaments. Righto, please.
Well, we're going to see. In the meantime, I think I'm going to stick with my guy Hollow. Well, he's the only Romanian that he qualified. We had a little bit of friendly fire in the open rounds I had to play against Katasis. I harrowed him a bit. I hope he's not too upset about it. At least I did not play Demacia against him. Alright. Yeah, I think we do not have anyone else that we do need to cover, and I do not think we have any dark horse, but do we have anyone that we actually miss or we would have wanted to see in this top 42 and did not make it?
I would have liked to have made it. That would have been great.
I would have also liked Gems to be in here. But do you want a list? I have a lot of players actually that I would have liked to see in here.
Who's your top disappointment? Who's your top
Wait,
disappointed?
I don't want to say disappointment because, you know, again, like, even though like a few players consistently make it in here, 9 rounds open Swiss
Is it Broken
just
Ball?
absolutely brutal. For example, I would have really liked to see Broken Ball in here. I would have really liked to see Dalton in here. Yeah. So, I mean, Catasis, for example. There are just a lot of players that I know that would have liked to see make it, but it's just top 32 means only 32 players can make it in, and not everybody can make it in. So I don't think there's any disappointment really if one of the players that has been performing in previous tournaments doesn't make it in. Like, for example, we don't see Shihu in here, for example, and that is just a lot of burnout happening in the Runeterra community right now. Just because we had like so many events. We had Worlds, we had Seasonal, then straight after the last season we had Worlds, and then we had EU Masters right after. I think there's just a lot of good players right now who, I don't want to say don't play the game, but just they need a break. It's just too much.
For me, it will be Jimmy and Viz from UK because I think they were both very close to making it. I know.
I'm surprised.
I don't know
I'm honestly surprised that you mentioned the UK player. I couldn't
well,
imagine.
I know Physical was 6-1 at one point in the seasonal, so I don't know. He was, I think, quite close to making it. I'm not sure where he ended up. I think Jimmy was very similar because I think Fly knocked him out. I think Fly knocked out Jimmy, I believe. So yeah, I mean that happened.
we are going to have to wait and see. As you mentioned in the beginning, all of these players are pretty strong. No surprise if any of them is going to take it out. But yes, that is it for our Europe seasonal preview. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. If yes, just leave a like, leave a subscribe, and don't forget to follow these guys. I think Gems is going to have some pretty spicy content up on his YouTube, so make sure you are going to check him out as well. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching and see you.